Um, as these tariffs start hitting all areas of the economy, President Trump wants to give $12 billion to the farmers in relief from the money that they're losing because of the tariffs and also because a lot of their products won't come to market. They'll be spoiled and a lot of different things, but he wants to give 12 billion in relief to the farmers, which is interesting. But we have so many things under tariff right now. Um, there are 6,000 Chinese products on the latest U.S. tariff list, and the top 20 products accounted for over 75 billion in U.S. imports last year. We get right now from China a year about $505 billion that come in from China, and Trump has already put tariffs on 200 billion that comes in, and he wants to put tariffs on the other 250, and then he did 50 to start with, so that would have tariffs on everything that we get in from China, and don't think China is happy with it. I mean, China wants to fight, and they're going to put tariffs on everything they can of our goods going into China. The only problem, we only send about 50 billion a year exporting into China, where they're sending us 500, 550 billion coming from China. So even if you had 10% on everything, 50 billion is not going to be the same as 500 billion. But the next question is, well, what people will be hurt by all these tariffs? Because our main tariffs, our big ones are knocked down, like we have tariffs on switchers and routers, device parts, furniture, cars and car parts, handbags, and surprisingly the tariffs on handbags aren't that much. Mattresses, we make most of them in the United States, so mattresses doesn't have anything really. Now this seafood, there are going to be tariffs on seafood going both ways, and that will hurt. That'll hurt because Chinese companies have for years dumped substandard products into the U.S. market, and then the U.S. imported 2.7 billion worth of fish and seafood from China last year. We imported, and then they also took a lot from the U.S. On seafood. As far as home improvements, U.S. Imported about 1.7 billion in tools and metal products from China. Chemicals are similar, going both ways. Semiconductors, they've been hit pretty hard for levies on 34 billion of Chinese exports of machinery, components, and electronics. So the tariffs put on as soon as the products are coming into this country before it crosses the line. That's actually added to the price because China has to pay the tariff, so then they're going to pass it on to the consumer. And not everybody is real happy with this situation. Now, this 12 billion we started with, a lot of people aren't happy that we're giving the farmers 12 billion to help them through this, since a lot of their products are harvested fresh and they rot and things like that. But why did they pick out the farmers for 12 billion and some of these other people that are losing a lot of money, they haven't picked out nothing. Now the farmers, naturally they have a lot of dairy, wheat, corn, fruits, rice, a lot of pork and beef and dairy. You're paying for it, and I'm paying for it out of my taxes. So we're putting up 12 billion to the farmers. Lost all this money, and in return, we're taking back a lot of their products, a lot of the farm products, and we're giving them to different organizations in the county. We just can't put them in the warehouse and let them rot. So we're trying to get rid of them as hard as we can and as fast as we can, because 12 billion is a lot of merchandise. There are some of these organizations that are real poor and all that, charitable organizations. We're giving them some of this food. We're just handing it to them, say, here, take it, because we've already paid the farmers for it, and we want to do something with this food that we bought from the farmers. Now, that'll take care of their crops coming up, but then what's going to happen next year? Are we going to, and if this same thing goes on with these tariffs on and on, are we going to be buying $12 billion from the farmers each year that they would lose and go out of business if the government didn't buy it? I mean, what's going to happen next year with all the tariffs? And also, the tariffs on everything else that's coming in to the country that we talked about, like seafood, the switches, cars and car parts, all these things are coming in, furniture, and you wonder, those tariffs will be added to the price. They got to be put somewhere. It's not like the farmers. All these other tariffs, as the merchandise come in, will have to be added to the price. So that means when you buy something, after it gets here, it's going to cost you more money out of your pocket, because you're going to have to pay the price you did last year, and then you're going to have to pay the percentage of the tariff that was put on it now, if you want to get that merchandise. And now China's doing the same thing on the merchandise coming from the U.S. to them. But the only problem is, like I said from the beginning, we're only sending them about $50 billion a year, and they're sending us $550 billion. So that makes a big difference. I don't know what's going to happen though, and frankly, when this comes up next year, if the tariffs are still going and the farmers are not doing good, and they're sitting there and the products are going to waste, and we got to come up with another 12 billion. I mean, are we going to do that next year, or are we going to let the crops rot, and then people start losing votes? Or are we going to give them the 12 billion like this year? But the key is, where does that 12 billion come from? The government has to write a check from somewhere, and it's coming from tax money or whatever that they get from you and me. And that's an extra expense. And now some of these other items that we talked about, like switches, rotors, device parts, furniture, handbags, car and car parts, seafood, chemicals, home improvement, semiconductors, mobile phones, there are tariffs on all of them. And tariffs are going to be increasing the price for all of those items. So that means if we want them from now on, the price is going to be increased, and you're going to pay it out of your pocket. So, and we're only giving them $50 billion a year. So unless we can stop the things coming in from China, and we'll start producing them again, like the steel mills. Let's open all the steel mills that are shut down around Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, and everybody's out of work, and half of the people left. All the mills are shut down. Biggest mills I've ever seen. Homestead PA, biggest mill I've ever seen, completely shut down. Now, if we open those up and start them going again, then we won't have to pay tariffs on the steel that we have coming in from China and Canada, because we'll be making our own steel again after all these years. But it's going to be interesting, and this $12 billion to the farmers, it's just the start, I guarantee you. Thank you.